Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the November 15, 2021 meeting of the Tredyffrin Township Board of Supervisors. We're going to begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So we're going to start tonight with a public hearing to consider and possibly adopt the 2022 preliminary budget. I'm going to go with a format that we usually do on a regular motion. That is, we're going to have a motion. I'm going to ask for a motion now, and we're going to act on it. And before we act on it, we're going to have board comment and then citizen comment as part of the public hearing. So this is a motion to adopt the 2022 preliminary budget. Mr. McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a handful of board exhibits for the hearing this evening. Exhibit B1 is the proof of publication of the notice in the Daily Local News on November 6, 2021. Exhibit Board 2 is the proof of publication in the Mercury on November 6, 2021. And Exhibit 3 is the notice of the hearing to the email distribution list for the Township dated November 10, 2021. And those are the board exhibits for this hearing.
Thank you, Mr. McKenna. So we have do I have a motion to adopt the 2022 preliminary budget?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Do I have any board comment to begin?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, will there be an opportunity after this vote to add anything to the budget?
I think when we get Mr. Duraco, yes.
Yeah, on our regular agenda tonight, we have preliminary, budget discussion. So I think that's a great time.
Thank you.
So, okay, I have a motion and a second. Any other board comments? Hearing none, are there any citizen comments? Hearing none, this is a roll call vote. So I will start with Supervisor Humble.
Aye.
Supervisor O'Neill.
Aye.
Supervisor Gussie.
Aye.
Supervisor Holt.
Aye.
Supervisor Freed.
Aye.
Supervisor Basker.
Aye.
And I vote aye. Motion passes. And I am now going to adjourn the public meeting, and we're off the record. Thank you. Announcements. Halville Road will remain closed through mid-December for bridge repair. In observance of Thanksgiving, Township offices will be closed Thursday and Friday, November 25th and 26th. Please drop off your new unwrapped donations for the annual Toys for Tots campaign by December 3. Chester County residents through Westchester University can register for a virtual class on Tuesday, November 16, 8:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. for Youth Mental Health First Aid. This is a 3-year certification program recommended for parents and adults who work with young people. You can register through Westchester University Health Services. Approval of the minutes. Motion to approve minutes of the November 4, 2021 public meeting.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Next is a motion to appoint Jennifer Whipp to the Library Board of Trustees. Mr. Basker.
Yeah, thank you,
Mr.
Chair
Basker.
Masaki.
Basker, yeah.
So I would like to make a motion to appoint Jennifer Whipp to the Library Board of Trustees. She has served on the Library Foundation for many years and actually was responsible for organizing the golf tournament and pulling it off. So I can't think of anyone better qualified right now to be on the Library Board of Trustees. We have a vacancy. So it gives me a great pleasure to nominate Jennifer Whip to be to the Library Board of Trustees.
Thank you, Bhaskar. We have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any board comment? Any citizen comment? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Motion passes. Next is the 2022 budget discussion. Mr. Duraco.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. At our next meeting, the board's going to authorize a public hearing for the final budget, as well as setting the millage rate for next year. While it's not expected to change, we do have to do a public hearing for the millage rate. So tonight, we're just looking for some feedback, any more feedback from the board on the preliminary budget as it was approved. So that way I can make those changes and discuss them and their impacts to the final budget at our next meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Duraco. Is there any board discussion?
Could you just summarize what has changed since the preliminary budget that was presented already?
So some of the things that are being proposed so far, some money in the budget for the Historical Commission. They have a proposal to go out and get some grant money. A small match is going to be required from the township. I think, off the top of my head, I think it's about $5,000 in the final budget to help them work towards revising the historical ordinance there. And then just again, we've had a couple of personnel changes happening, so those changes will flow through. Since the preliminary budget, we received our final premium increase, which actually ended up being 0, and we're going to actually have a credit for health insurance premium. So I had 5% increase budgeted for health premiums, so that change will be flowed through. Also, we'll see significant savings from that. So those are just some of the things that are changing right now, but other than that, nothing else has been proposed or changed.
I think there was an increase to Radnor Fire that was requested too.
Thank you for reminding me. If you want to talk about it, because of course I don't remember off the top of my head.
Radnor Fire had, and they serve a small portion of the township on the eastern end. They had requested a 6% in their operating contribution from us, and that's $2,000, Joe, as you know. And we had given them monies from American Rescue Plan, and they had requested additional monies, and we are requesting $5,000 additional capital for Radnor Fire and EMS.
Mr. Chairman, just some very generalized comments about this budget for these discussion purposes. I believe our plans for next year are ambitious, and our budget reflects that. There are a number of capital projects that we have planned that will push staff really, I think, almost to the limit. Township residents and the board recognize the need for action, and that is what this budget has for next year. As a result of the roaring real estate economy and some federal help, together with bond payments rolling off our budget, we're in a fortunate position not to have to raise property taxes next year. Even with these swelling demands on township resources and increases on admin costs, emergency services, and I'm thinking the specter of inflation, I am comfortable with straying from our past practices of modest increases for this year. There's going to be some very big decisions coming down the pike regarding how this township is going to be paying for significant infrastructure improvements. I'm going into this process open-minded, and I hope township residents will do so as well. The average township tax burden is still very modest at around $580 per household, and our annual sewer bill of $250 is almost laughably low compared to similar municipalities. I believe our residents recognize that significant investments are necessary and we cannot defer maintenance on our infrastructure any longer. But I believe investments in people also matter, and that is why I'm happy to see our budget will continue strong funding for our libraries and parks. I also would like to mention that this budget contains a very modest allocation to the creation of a Township Arts Commission next year. The details and constitution of such a body will be fleshed out in the first half of 2022 and hopefully having a functioning board by the end of the year. So I am optimistic and thank all staff for this budget. I do feel like we keep voting on this budget a lot because of the new rules that we have regarding public announcements. So thank you for everybody involved.
Chairman Wozaki, I have something to add.
Supervisor Humble.
Thank you. Last Wednesday, the Parks and Recreation Board met for its usual monthly meeting, and at the meeting, it was attended by Conestoga softball team leadership, coaches, and they came to ask, well, first of all, they informed us that Pete Ritchie Field, as it is, the fencing is 20 to 25 years old, and it doesn't meet current safety standards. So, for example, at home plate, the backstop is supposed to be at least 25 feet back, and currently it's only 9 feet back. Additionally, there's a roof over the backstop. So if somebody hits a pop fly, it's going to go straight up and hit that roof and come back down and potentially hurt somebody. So, they need that roof to the outfield to go back. So what they asked us was they want to improve the fencing and the backstop around the field. They said the cost for new fencing and gates of which are also required, the cost is around $16,000 to $22,000, but they think more on the low side of $16,000. They offered to pay, Conestoga Boosters Club would raise and donate through the Tredyffrin Township Parks and Recreation Foundation half of the cost for the new fencing. And so their ask of the township is for $8,000 to pay the other half of the new fencing so that Pete Ritchie Park will be safe and meet today's safety standards for play and as well as for tournament standards. So I'm asking and I support it. The board voted on it and supports it unanimously. So we're asking for that $8,000 to be included in the budget. Joe DeRocco did attend our meeting on Wednesday, and he was favorable to this addition. So if Joe wants to say anything on it, I offer that.
Yeah, just in terms of process, the way we work it out, just for the way we handle things is the township will be the one to go out and hire the vendor. They have 2 quotes already. They're essentially doing some of the work for us. They're going to help get a 3rd quote, which will satisfy our requirements under the law. And then so the way that it'll be reflected in the budget is full cost less their share of 50%, and then what we're expecting to be less than $9,000.
So I think we owe it to the Conestoga softball team. If we're going to rent a field to them that they're playing on, that it should meet the safety standards of today. We should not be renting to them a field that does not. So I do see that there's several supporters of Conestoga softball here. So I don't know whether they want to discuss this as well, but that's...
Supervisor Humble, I see, call me crazy, I see no reason to discuss this. It looks eminently reasonable to me. I mean,
Thank you.
I don't, when I say no reason to discuss, no reason to make an issue of this. It's asking us to pay one half of a reasonable amount sounds fine to me. Joe, do we have to take a vote on this up here or not?
Not right now, no.
No, okay. I mean,
Chairman Wozniacki, I very much appreciate your understanding and your support. Thank you.
so you're welcome. We're happy to do it. I mean, it's it's when somebody from the community who uses the facility comes and agrees, we'll work with you. I mean, that's really good, and we're happy to help. Any other board comments on the budget? Do we have any citizen comments? I know we do. No, we don't. Do we?
Could you come up to the mic, just because it's broadcasting and you won't be able to hear you, sorry.
My name's Todd Whitlow. I'm one of the coaches at Conestoga. Thank you, Sharon, very much. Thanks for the support. It's not just about Conestoga softball. As a lot of you may know, there's quite a few softball travel teams that go all the way down to young kids, and it will really improve the safety and quality of play. So I just want to say thank you, and thanks for the parents for coming out and supporting it. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you, and yes, that's true. I imagine there are a lot of teams, as you said, from the older to the youngest. So happy to help. Okay, okay, Mr. Clark.
Just a couple of comments from the stormwater perspective. From the task force point of view, it's kind of disappointing that there's not more investment in flood reduction, drainage management programs in the budget for next year. And I think that there are opportunities that link to projects you already have, and that indeed it's kind of important that you take a sub-watershed look where you have to repair a culvert on 144 Pew Road. Maybe also take the opportunity to look upstream a bit, do some infiltration systems in the uphill portions, address the orphan system that is eroding people's backyards and causing more debris to all come down into that culvert. Just like one example. Another example, if you're going to work in Wilson Farm Park and do the Chesterbrook Boulevard outfall, which I think is on the Wilson Run underneath Chesterbrook Boulevard, which I think is showing deterioration. If you're going to do those two things at the beginning and end of Wilson Farm Park, also think about the stormwater management you could do in between and take a kind of holistic view at kind of a sub-watershed solution that really gets to help solve people's problems. And I would argue that you should look hard at maybe investing more money in not only the projects, but also the resources to manage those projects and to design and engineer them. So I'd hope that we might be able to see staff additions and potentially engineering consulting monies to actually design real solutions along the lines that the task force has recommended. And we could get into more details of that in the workshop, I'm sure, but I'd ask you to have an open mind about the opportunities there and to think about kind of the broad, big picture solutions that actually will make a difference. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. I think, I don't want to get into this back and forth, but you're right in terms of the bigger picture, and that's exactly what we're doing. We have an accelerated request for qualifications going out on a consultant, and that is being accelerated in 2022. It's hard to push it any harder than that because you have to prepare for that too. Our township engineer has to put the qualifications together, and we are doing that in terms of a the consultant to do the hard, as I call, the hard design and hard planning work based on a lot of the work that the Citizen Stormwater Task Force has done. So yes, we are doing that. And we are also, maybe it's not, for example, and I don't want to get into it, and maybe you can't see it reflected in the budget, but let's say it's not 144 Pew Road and looking upstream there. But there are other things that we're looking at. For example, and this is in the beginning stages, but it's real at Stratford Park. We're trying to work with on MS4 and stormwater, enlarging a wetlands area there to control flooding, and that occurs downstream. And we're working a little bit with, we're trying to work with Radnor Township, which would be exciting if we can get them. But if we don't, we don't. We're just going to do it anyway. So we're looking at these opportunities, and we thank you and the task force for all the work you've done to make this part a little bit easier for us moving forward, or should I say, a lot easier moving forward. So we still have to do the design work and the construction work and fit it out and deal with personnel issues, but we are laser focused on them. And those are some of the infrastructure issues that Supervisor Holt mentioned in his comment. So thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I don't know if you want me to do it now or save for new business. I have 2 email support of the D'Ambrosio Peter Ritchie Field backstop. Do you want me to read them now or just wait to new business?
Why don't you read them now?
Sure, okay. The first one is from Scott, Anne-Marie, Samantha Holzkamp. I'm writing to express our support to build a new backstop at Peter Ritchie Field at D'Ambrosio Park. Our daughter Samantha has played on this field throughout her career in the Devon Stratford Youth League, while on travel teams and concurrently as a member of the Conestoga High School varsity team. While our teams and teammates have changed, the old piece of equipment has remained the same. The backstop is old and in poor shape and sorely need to be replaced. It would be money well spent and benefit the next several generations of softball players. Second email is from Jennifer Rossler. Hello, I'm a resident of Tredyffrin Township. I would like to note my support of the proposal for a new backstop at Peter Ritchie Field at D'Ambrosio Park. My daughter has long played softball with the Township Little Leagues and is currently a member of the Conestoga softball team. These opportunities are wonderful things for our girls, especially to have in their backyards. Additionally, the support and use of the fields by Express Softball is another great benefit to the girls to have the opportunity to expand their skills without having to make a commitment to drive teams that are some distance away. Having contributed to the Friends of Peter Ritchie previously, I'm confident that we will raise half the money for the purchase and installation of the backstop, and I hope you will approve a proposal for the rest. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Martin, and thank you to the residents who sent us their comments. Okay, any more budget comments? Hearing none, moving on to the next order of business here. Motion to adopt Resolution 2021-2025, approving the 2022 meeting dates and holiday calendar. Mr. Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the public. At this time of the year, we are normally adopting our calendar and for meeting dates and holidays for the upcoming year. Attached to this resolution is the proposal for the meeting dates, very similar in the past. I will just make 2 notes that might be different than you're seeing. The first is where we're observing New Year's Day in 2022. We talked with staff. I know some people are observing it on the 31st because of the way it falls this year, but it becomes an issue with a number of holidays for the unions, and it made sense. So we're going to observe it on the 3rd, so that way the balance of the holidays are exactly the same from the prior year, and that means we will also have our reorg that evening, even though the township building will be closed during the day. So I just want to make that note. And the other note is following the county's lead, we have included Juneteenth as a holiday as well. So those are the changes that might be a little different than in prior years.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a motion to adopt Resolution 2021-25, approving the 2022 meeting dates and holiday calendar?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Do I have any board comment? Any citizen comment? Hearing none, I have a roll call vote here. Supervisor Humble,
Aye.
Supervisor O'Neill,
Aye.
Supervisor Gussie,
Aye.
Supervisor Holt,
Aye.
Supervisor Freed,
Aye.
Supervisor Basker,
Aye.
and I vote aye. Motion passes. Next is a motion to award Willis Lane Stormwater Pipe Repair Project to the lowest qualified bidder, Plymar Construction. Mr. Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Public Works is seeking the board approval of the bids of the Willis Lane Storm Pipe Repair Project. The township is looking to replace 60 linear feet of corroded metal pipe that runs through 563 Willis Lane. The township will also need to repair the roadway and the driveway at 563 Willis. On November 4th, 2021 at 10 a.m., Tredyffrin Township received bids via pen bid from qualified bidders for the Willis Lane Stormwater Pipe Repair Project. 8 bids were received and reviewed by township staff. Plymar Construction was the lowest qualified bidder for $23,200. Public Works Department is requesting the project be awarded to Plymar. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Fitzgerald. Do I have a motion to award Willis Lane Stormwater Pipe Repair Project to the lowest qualified bidder, Plymar Construction? Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any board comments? Any citizen comments? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next is a motion to authorize Act 247 review for zoning ordinance amendment regarding short-term rental use. Mr. Baumann.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. This motion is a reauthorization to have this ordinance sent to both the Chester County Planning Commission and the Township's Planning Commission this Thursday for review and comment. This was last heard in front of the Planning Commission at their October 21st meeting. And assuming board approval tonight of the Act 247, I will resend the ordinance tomorrow again to the Chester County Planning Commission, and again, it will be heard at this Thursday's PC meeting. I'll be glad to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Baumann. Do I have a motion to authorize Act 247 review for zoning ordinance amendment regarding short-term rental use?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Do I have any board comment? Do I have any citizen comment? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Motion to approve the Commonwealth Municipal Traffic Signal Maintenance Agreement between Penndot and the Township. Mr. Burgo.
Chairman Wasaki and members of the board, before you tonight we have 2 motions. One is for the approval of a traffic signal maintenance agreement. It's a new agreement. Penndot has notified the township on the need for municipalities to accept and update their old agreements with this new master agreement. It contains standardized PennDOT language identifying the responsibilities for townships for the installation and maintenance of all their traffic signals within the township. It also involves basically identifying all the parties responsible for the maintenance of those signals. So we will be identifying Township Public Works Department staff as well as our outside contractor involved in signal maintenance and repairs. Secondly, with this, there's a resolution that will designate the township manager as the authorized designated signer responsible for signing the TE 160 forms for any type of installation or modification to traffic signals in the future, and that will eliminate the need to come back to the board for resolutions like we've had to do in the past. If anybody has any questions, we can certainly answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Burgo. Do I have a motion to approve the Commonwealth and Municipal Traffic Signal Maintenance Agreement between PennDOT and the Township?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any board comment? Any citizen comment? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next is motion to adopt Resolution 2021-26 authorizing the township manager to execute the agreement between Penndot and the township. Those with a scorecard out there, you'll see it changed from Board of Supervisors chairman. It's actually the township manager who is required to sign this document. So, Mr. Burgo.
Chairman Wasaki and members of the board, this is just the resolution that we had mentioned that is designating the authorized signatory for Tredyffrin Township for those TE 160 forms. So any type of future maintenance or installation of signals, the board is allowing and authorizing the township manager to sign for those before they get sent to Penndot.
Thank you, Mr. Burgo. This is, do I have a motion to adopt Resolution 2021-26, authorizing the township manager to execute the agreement between Penndot and the township?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion, I have a motion and a second. This is a roll call vote again. Supervisor Humble.
Aye.
Supervisor O'Neill.
Aye.
Supervisor Gussie.
Aye.
Supervisor Holt.
Aye.
Supervisor Freed.
Aye.
Supervisor Basker.
Aye.
And I vote aye. Motion passes. Okay. Motion to approve the following documents for Sweetsford Road Apartments LLC. Developer agreement, financial security agreement dash letter of credit, stormwater best management practices, operations and maintenance agreement. Next, deed of dedication of contention lane rights of way. Next, declaration of vehicular and pedestrian easements. Next, trail connection agreement. Mr. McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is the apartment project that was being developed by the Bizzuto Development Company that received final plan approval from the Planning Commission back in October of 2019. Since that time, it has taken the developer, frankly, some time to get their lending in order. They're also creating a new entity, a project between Sweetsford Road Apartments and Bizzuto that's actually going to develop the site. So we went round and round. There has been several drafts, different forms of letter of credit, but it is finally prepared and they're closing in on going to settlement. So before you is a developer agreement. Any motion to approve, I'd also like for the financial security agreement to be contingent on two things. First would be the receipt by the township of the original letter of credit. We don't anticipate receiving that until the actual day of settlement. And secondly, today, the amount of the letter of credit actually had to be revised. And so the developer scrambled to get that done. It was reviewed by Princeton Hydro as well as Mr. Burgo. But the amount is a little different, so I want to read the amount and make sure that everyone understands that it actually went up a little bit more compared to what you have in front of you at the time. But the amount being secured is $3,459,881.73. So I would like the motion to reflect that it would be this proper amount. They actually already executed it, and we have a copy of their execution at that correct amount, but I want to make sure that that is reflected. The stormwater O&M is typical of the property owner responsibility. The deed of dedication, Mr. Burgo can speak to it in more detail, but there's some contention lane right-of-way that I think we thought we had, but we didn't, so we are actually getting it now, and we're clearing up that issue as part of this process. And then the last two things, the township is not actually a party to the declaration or to the trail connection agreement. They were more really for your recognition so that you know that they have been done and executed.
Thank you, Mr. McKenna. So I'm not going to read the documents again, except I'm going to make reference to the motion to approve the following documents for Sweetsford Road Apartments LLC, and the documents that I read before, but I make special note of the financial security agreement letter of credit, which is conditioned upon receipt of the letter of credit, and the letter of credit will be in the amount of $3,459,881.73. Is that right? Mr. McKenna, is that the right number?
That was the correct number, yes.
So that's now on the record. Do I have a motion to approve the documents as I read them before?
Excuse me.
Okay,
I saw that the documents for the development were included in our packet, but I couldn't, some of it was too small for me to see clearly. So I'm just wondering how much space, in terms of feet or yards, is between the Contention Lane Bridge and the Contention Lane right-of-way that's in the packet?
I don't know the answer to that. I have to defer to Mr. Burgo if he's aware.
I don't know the exact answer to that question. It's basically the right-of-way, though, there were some areas of the roadway that were assumed to be, where the road was actually located, were assumed to be township property, and some portions of the edge of the road were not actually in or included there. I think there was a widening that was done previously, and that was never transferred, that area of easement was never transferred to the township. So this is really cleaning up that additional linear strip of land along that edge of the roadway.
Okay.
So it runs along the property itself. So somewhere from just beyond the bridge down to the intersection with Sweetsford.
I just recall there had been concern about how close in proximity they would be located, because when people come over the Contention Lane Bridge, you know, as you're going over, you can't see what's on the other side of Contention. So we want to make sure there's enough space that people could stop if they had to.
And the easement areas are fairly small. They're about 2,200 square feet, and the other one's only a couple hundred square feet as well. It's like 300 square feet or so. So it's a fairly small area, small area of area that's going to be dedicated for the right-of-way.
Thank you.
okay, thank you, Mr. Burgo. Let me just back up again. I'm not going to read the financial security agreement conditions, but I still need a motion. Do I have a motion to approve the documents that I had read before for Sweetsford Road Apartments LLC?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any board comment? Any citizen
Mr.
comment?
Chairman,
Okay.
quick question. Maybe Mr. Baumann can answer this. Are there any environmental standards or regulations that we have in our planning ordinance requiring, say, such a building like this to get a certain type of LEED certification?
No, we don't have those types. Some municipalities have adopted those, but no, we don't have any of those
You
requirements.
said some other townships have adopted those?
There's a
Yeah.
few. I mean, that honestly, LEED, and not that it's not important anymore, but that was really big in the mid-2000s, 05, 08, 10. And then when the recession hit, primarily in 08, people were just happy to get construction, honestly, because LEED was expensive and it continues to be. It's not that it's not important, but the standards aren't as rigorous as they used to be, in other words, or as important, I would say. Not that it's diminished, but there hasn't been an emphasis like there was 15 years ago.
Thank you.
Okay, any citizen comments? All in favor, say aye. We got Mr. Clark.
I just skimmed through the paperwork there, and I noticed that there was a fee in lieu of something that was $350,000, and I wondered, A, how was that calculated? What's it for? And B, where is it going? And is it in next year's budget for anything?
Ray, that's a brain teaser, but I forgot the math. Tori is here, but it's a per rental, or excuse me, per unit basis. I think it's $2,100 per unit. Something, the math. I don't have my subdivision land. We implemented that probably 6 years ago. I think it was in 15. And most developers obviously can't offer open space, so it's a fee in lieu. It's a multiplier. The multiplier is 250 units times 2,100. I'm going to say whatever the math equals to, Ray, $350,000. I think it's been 2+ years since that went through, but that's roughly the calculation. It's a per unit basis.
That money goes into, we have a certain, it's restricted by law, goes into a parks fee in lieu of account. So it's restricted to use in the township park. So that'll go into that account once it's received.
Okay, any other citizen comments? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion passes. Next is the motion to approve the Tredyffrin Township Environmental Advisory Council, EAC, to issue a joint newsletter with Easttown Township EAC at no cost and to be reviewed by staff. Supervisor Gussie.
Pretty much everything is in the actual motion. Basically, the Easttown EAC approached the Tredyffrin EAC to see if there was interest in having a joint newsletter. It will be no cost to either township. The staff will review the content. So this is just another nice way to increase the education and awareness of environmental issues in our township.
Thank you, Supervisor Gussie. Do I have a motion to approve the Tredyffrin Township Environmental Advisory Council, EAC, to issue a joint newsletter with Easttown Township EAC at no cost and to be reviewed by staff? Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any board comment?
Yes, Chairman Wozaki, I did have a question. Is the newsletter going to be mailed out, or is it going to be electronic only?
Electronic only.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, any other board comments? Any citizen comments? Seeing none or hearing none? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Motion to authorize advertisement of the public hearing on December 20, 2021 for ordinance HR 445 to approve the Tredyffrin Township final budget for the year 2022. Mr. Duraco.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As required by our charter, we must hold a public hearing on the final budget. And so this motion authorizes staff to advertise and meet our obligations in the charter.
Thank you, Mr. Duraco. Do I have a motion to authorize advertisement of the public hearing on December 20, 2021 for ordinance HR 445 to authorize the Tredyffrin Township final budget for the fiscal year 2022?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. I have a motion and a second. Any board comment? Any citizen comment? Hearing none. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes. Next is a motion to authorize advertisement of the public hearing on December 2021 for ordinance HR 446, fixing the rate of taxation for real estate in Tredyffrin Township at 2.569 mils for fiscal year 2022. Mr. Duraco.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Same as before, this is required under the charter. While I was reviewing it with the solicitor this year, we noticed that the ordinance that we wrote changing the millage rate for 2021 is actually only applicable to 2021. So we tweaked it so that way, hopefully in the future, if we don't have to raise taxes, we won't have to have this portion of the public hearing. But that is the same millage rate as it is this year, so no tax increase as proposed.
Thank you, Mr. Duraco. Do I have a motion to authorize advertisement of the public hearing on December 20, 2021 of ordinance HR 446, fixing the rate of taxation for real estate in Tredyffrin Township at 2.569 mils for fiscal year 2022?
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any board comment? Any citizen comment? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes. And that's it for township business this evening. Now we come to new matters, and I'm going to, and we have board member new matters, and I have somewhat of a new matter here. I have some news this evening about a member of our Tredyffrin Township team. It is with difficulty that I announce that Matt Bauman, our Assistant Township Manager and Director of Planning and Zoning, will be leaving us at the end of this month. After 10 years of dedicated service to Tredyffrin Township and its residents, and 18 years of work in public service, Matt has decided, in his own words, to take a pause and look into other opportunities. Matt, we will miss you and wish you good fortune wherever your future pursuits may take you. And now I'm going to turn the mic over to our Township Manager, Bill Morton, for some further words.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Matt, I just want to say thank you. It's kind of interesting. Our careers kind of crossed paths, and we've been together, I think, working together directly 13 years.
It's like a long marriage.
Yeah. I started my career at Radnor in 2000 as full-time, and I think shortly thereafter you joined at the township. We got to know each other. You actually left to go to Tredyffrin. I went to Bridgeport, and somehow the stars aligned, and we came back, and we worked together here for almost 9 years now. So we've done a lot of great things. You're an asset to wherever you go from here. Obviously, you're sorely missed. We tried to convince you otherwise, but I think your mind's made up, and we are supportive and looking forward to hear where you go next. But you've done so many great things, and your personality. And one of the things I appreciate is your ability to diffuse often difficult situations, and always a positive attitude, and especially dealing with developers and residents and all the contentious things. Just you bring a great spirit to it, and I look forward to see where you go next. And I thank you for all the years of service. We're going to miss you greatly, so thank you. We have something to give you tonight as well.
Thanks, Bill.
Any other board member new matters?
Yes, Chairman Wazaki, I would like to call attention to the Public Works report in the packet for tonight's meeting and recognize that the Public Works Department did an immense amount of work in our parks in the past month in fixing things up, sprucing them up, and taking care of some noticed problems. And this was in addition to all the regular work that they always do. And so I just wanted to express appreciation for that and say thank you very much publicly.
Thank you, Supervisor Humble. Any other board member new matters?
I just want to mention that after our last meeting, our Citizen Stormwater Task Force is currently working on revising their suggestions for a possible tree ordinance, taking into some of the concerns that were brought up at the meeting. So we will see those new recommendations at a later date. I just wanted to mention it as follow-up.
Thank you, Supervisor Gussie. Any other board member new matters? Any citizen new matters?
Good evening. I'm Tori Snyder. I'm on your Planning Commission, as you all know. I just wanted to make a couple of comments about the discussion that happened at your last meeting because I was not able to attend. I was out of town, although I did watch the meeting. And my general overall comment is I agree with many of the comments that were made about shifting the authority for land development from the Planning Commission to the board. I think that several supervisors pointed out that it would improve the board's knowledge and hands-on experience with the actual code, and it would give you greater knowledge and involvement in development issues as they occur in the township, and I thought those were all appropriate comments. Some comments were also made about the Planning Commission itself, and specifically our waiver process, and they weren't very positive comments, but I I just thought I would bring to light sort of what we go through as a planning commission in granting waivers, because I think it's important for the board to understand in considering your option of adopting the authority for land development. So, when we get our packets, the planning commission, we all spend time looking at the plans, reading all the letters that come in. We look at the site. We have review letters from our consultants, including our consulting engineer, our consulting stormwater engineer, sometimes the township engineer, and staff. And then we, at the meetings, of course, discuss the matters, have public comment, and finally, after all of that, consider waivers. And that's a typical part of the process, waivers. They're enabled by the municipality's planning code and our own codes, as you know. And they're intended to be granted when the literal application of the code doesn't make sense. It's either, there's specific wording in there, it's impractical, the hardship is in there, but it's not the same hardship as you would have to approve in a variance. But, it's a pretty high standard that has to be met. And we do grant waivers, and most of the waivers that are granted are on small matters, such as, shadow analysis, natural features being provided on a plan, specific planting material when it won't fit, things like that. Once in a great while, there's a greater waiver that is granted, but that's a pretty high bar to meet. And in the times that we have granted that, it has been for a very specific purpose. And actually, an example was brought up about a waiver that was granted to, it was characterized as allowing a development that was 3 times what was permitted by the codes, or something like that. And actually, the granting of that waiver was a great example, because it didn't allow a building that was 3 times what was allowed by the code. What it allowed was a better design than what would have resulted without the waiver, which is specifically one of the standards that are applied when you're in the granting of a waiver. So that was actually an example of a positive waiver, because it resulted in a building plan that was preferable to both the public at the meeting when it was discussed and the planning commission and staff. So I just wanted to sort of clarify, it sounded very bad at the last meeting what was granted, and it really wasn't bad. The size of the development that ensued after that waiver was exactly the same as the size of the development without the waiver. So anyhow, that was one thing. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about just really quickly, and actually just came up with the apartment complex, was the fee in lieu, which is a provision that we have in our code that if you're building a residential development, that you have to either provide certain amount of land per unit of recreation space on your own site, or you can, if agreed by the township, pay a fee in lieu. And in most cases, we do go with the fee in lieu rather than the land, as was the case tonight. And I would just point out that that's what the code enables, that's what the municipality's planning code enables, and the paying of the fee has a benefit to the township as a whole, whereas when the land is actually provided, there is no obligation for the developer to make that land be publicly accessible land. So it's actually a greater public benefit to have the fee in most cases, and that's what we typically do. In any case, it's not a fee that developers can pay to get approvals. It is simply something that's enabled by our code and enforced by the Planning Commission. So I think those are my main comments, and I just want to say I'm available to answer questions, as a longtime Planning Commission member, if the board chooses to reach out at any time. So, and I also, while I'm up here, want to say, Matt, thank you so much for all your years and your help and your support. You've been great, and obviously a longtime friend of mine as well. And I'll miss him personally, and we'll miss you as a board. So thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman and Tori, if I can just comment on where you started out, which is in the discussion regarding whether or not the board should take final planning approval, and we've discussed this.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'll just speak for my feeling, but I'm sure I reflect the feeling of many on the board. It's in no way intended, if it ultimately is a decision to take it back, it's no way intended to be a reflection on the planning commission, the feeling about the decision of the planning commission, the expertise of the planning commission. I think regardless of whether final land development approvals with the planning commission, whether it's with this board, the board, if it does come to the board, will be relying heavily on the planning commission. I want to take the opportunity to thank you and all the board members for your expertise, for your time, for your efforts. It's much appreciated. You guys do really difficult. I think of all the boards, it's probably the one that takes the most time, and that may include this board up here. So it's much appreciated. Again, my feeling, I think I said this last time, is one of the reasons I lean towards taking the authority back is just because I feel like, we've got to ultimately be responsible. But it's not a reflection in any way or lack of appreciation or lack of respect for the work you guys do.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Tori, thank you for all that you've done for the township over many years. We could count them, but we get pretty high. But thank you very much. No, that's great, and I know what the Planning Commission does and the work that's entailed there, and the difficult decisions that are made. And thank you also for serving on subcommittees with us when we need it, and we need that Planning Commission input and taking your time, and that's very important and very helpful. Now, on the decision of PC to BOS or Planning Commission to, I'm not going to comment at all because we haven't decided anything yet, and we still have questions to ask and miles to go. And what I am going to let folks know out there is that we're not going to revisit this until January, when we have a reorganized board. We have a member, a new member on this board, a board that will be dealing with whatever the decision is going forward, at least for the next year. So we felt that or maybe I felt, and speaking with others, they felt that it'd be better to go, revisit it in January after you have a new reorganized board and a new member on the board who's going to be subject to whatever the decision is. So just wanted to let folks know that. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Tori.
I just had a comment about the fees in lieu. I can see instances where this is definitely a good thing for the township when it affects building in certain places. For example, the Chesterbrook Corporate Center, or like West Lakes, where there aren't homes right next to it. But for example, where this Swedesford Road Apartments is going, that we just discussed tonight, the proximity to the neighborhood and to the homes is so great that it's viewed that quality of life for the neighborhood is being sold out for this fee in lieu. And so this $350,000 won't even come back to the neighborhood. It goes somewhere else. So it feels like the burden is being placed on the homeowners for this new development to go in that's much larger than what is presently there, that people had not anticipated would be built so close to their homes. Mm-hmm. So I think, that should all be taken into consideration, and that that we shouldn't get the dollar signs in our eyes for any chance to make money off a diminishment of quality of life for people already living in the township.
Agreed.
Thank you.
Agreed. I mean, I actually wasn't involved in that case, as you probably know, but I agree, and I don't think the Planning Commission is ever has ever sought out the interest of a financial gain for, over the residents.
This one feels like it because the residents fought it for a long time and attended and spoke up at so many different meetings, and in the end, it didn't matter. It seemed like it was more about getting the money for the township at the expense of how the neighbors felt about the development this large going in so close to their homes.
Sorry you feel that way. Thank you.
Tori. Any other citizen new matters? Mr.
Just
Clark.
quickly on the two things. One, the fee in lieu. It would be good to have some transparency about how much money is in that bucket, what it gets spent on, what are the rules about how it's spent. Maybe that could be something for the budget workshop or something.
Yeah, as I previously touched on, it goes into an account that's restricted specifically for parks. We've used it since we started collecting it explicitly on capital in the parks. So that's just been our policy. So I would see no difference with this money going back into the parks. It's not, the money's not necessarily included to pay for things next year, and in the 5-year capital plan this year, just because, quite frankly, you don't count on a developer coming through like this. At any given point, you just kind of take it when it comes. But the idea is, and what we've tried to do is spend the money in the park that's closest to that development. So for this particular development, I think the closest park would probably be LAD Park. So I'm sure there's improvements in that park that'll be needed in the next few years, and we'll reinvest money into the park that way.
Yeah, another example of proximity to a project is Station Square and the pavilion that went in Woodbine. Joe, those cost, what, $40,000? Is that roughly 40? Yeah, it was $40,000 that paid for. So.
Okay. Well, obviously, to Supervisor Humble's point about the neighborhood, that's kind of good to hear that at least there's some attempt to focus it. Another point, while Superintendent Beatty is here, and don't get me too much for being like an old senior citizen, but every time I go to Costco, I feel that I'm taking my life in my hands going down 202. People drive like maniacs on that road. Do we have a strategy for controlling speed on the Tredyffrin section of 202?
Before the chief answers that, I think that's only after you cross out of the Tredyffrin border that you run into.
The strategy is high visibility, deterrence, but it's definitely a challenge. With the amount of officers we have deployed, a lot of people are asking for the officers in the neighborhoods. We try and hit the neighborhoods, the areas that they need to be, when they need to be places, and we'll do 202 when we can. Pretty much 202 is normally covered by the state police. The state police are coming out of the Emeryville barracks, and they really don't have that much availability in their manpower to come up all this way up to the end of Chester County. So we end up taking up the yeoman's work on it. And we handle the crashes on that and 422 as a primary responder. So it does take our resources. We do spend enforcement time up there. If you look at our monthly reports, our annual reports, there's a lot of DUI enforcement that happens to get drunks off the road. Not just drunks, but also other impaired drivers. So they're up there, they're visible, trying to be a deterrent. It's difficult at best, and one of the things that happens in Pennsylvania, we're still fighting a battle that local law enforcement is not allowed to have radar. And right now, we have to use devices that are basically a stopwatch type device to clock the speeder and or track with the vehicle itself, a certified vehicle speedometer, but the enforcement is just difficult at best. Pennsylvania is still dragging their heels across the Commonwealth to get that radar bill signed. I'd appreciate support from the public to go ask for that radar bill to be approved to allow local law enforcement. Only police department, the whole police in the country is Pennsylvania does not allow municipal police to utilize radar. It's ridiculous.
Thanks for the explanation there, very helpful, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. Any other citizen comments? Hearing none, seeing none, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Meeting is adjourned.